All right, what is going on, guys? So I just got to the shop. Man, I can't even think straight, to be honest. This first week at my new job has just been crazy. But anyways, as you guys can see, I didn't film any of it, but I did get the build motor into the blue car. It looks really good. So as you guys can see, I actually got the fuel lines all routed. The only thing I have to do is get under the car and figure out what other fittings I need to get this all set up. Basically, I have the manifold just resting in there with a couple bolts. I do have to get a manifold gasket, as well as the intake manifold gasket and a couple other gaskets. So I basically just have everything bolted up to route everything. I do have to get the intercooler piping, as well as get the blow-off valve flange welded on so I can get that thing on there. But anyways, I got the whole motor timed and all that's already good to go. I got my catch cans all set up. So this is for the coolant overflow. It just routes all the way down through that hole there and just basically rests on the frame rail there. And as well as the oil catch can, I have this one on that side just chilling there. So for this one, I will have the lines basically route from where the PCV used to sit up and over, as well as this one down here. I will have those routing straight down, probably gonna have it bolted down to the head somewhere, and then right under the turbo, over the trans, and then somewhere through there, and then into the catch can. So I will have to get some type of flame proof, like heat shield or just something wrapped to put over those, just because the turbo housing is gonna be right there. I will be trying to get a turbo blanket, and I do have to get some type of heat shield made or delete this brake booster setup. That's the only flaw about this, is it's made a little too close to that. So I will have to get a heat shield or something. But other than that, this is what the whole setup looks like in the car. I know in the last video, there wasn't a very good video of it, but this is what it looks like. All right, so as you guys can see, I got this with the car. This is a full brand new Kinetic Creations tucked harness. The only issue with this is I'm gonna have to cut and extend most of the plugs on this thing, as much as I don't want to. Only because this is made for basically a stock location fuse box setup. So you know how the fuse box sits here and the ECU sits down in that area. Well, since I moved all that to the glove box, everything is basically flip-flopped. So this harness will be coming out of that hole right down there. So everything is basically flip-flopped. I'm gonna have to extend mostly everything. So it's gonna be a process. I don't wanna hack up this nice harness, but I'm gonna have to run it. And at the end of the day, it's still gonna be tucked and it's still gonna look good. I'm just gonna take my time on it and get all that done. So that's why all day today, I'm gonna be worrying about the harness and getting all that done, because actually, I got the fuel return setup made. So there's the regulator. I got the whole return set up underneath the manifold, as well as wrapped around, going down under, following the feed line in the middle right there. So if you can see here, I have the fuel cell in the trunk with a feed line coming up through the body and up connected through. So I'll show you guys what the pumps and the whole, other part of the fuel system looks like here in a second. I just got to get down on the floor. All right, so this isn't the best view, but as you can see, I have the fuel cell with the sump part of the tank dropped down out of the tire, where basically where the spare tire sits, and then I got a dash 10 fuel line fitting, 290 degrees, and then this line going all the way through the middle to a 110 micron filter, which I'll probably be dropping down to like basically a denser one, so that way it filters out the fuel better. And then it goes to two twin 400 pumps, and then that's just going to be fed into one line going up to the fuel rail. And then as you can see, I also have the dash 6 line going all the way back and then through that hole up there to the fuel cell. So it's nothing too crazy. The only thing I don't like is how long this fuel line is from the tank to the pumps. I may have to adjust that, but we will just see how it does when the car starts to run. So that's basically the setup for now. Now I'm just going to go ahead and finish up on this wiring. All right, so it is a couple days after the last clip. I just basically went home and basically redid all the wiring to the new tucked harness. I extended a bunch of wires, I shortened a bunch of wires. It was very easy, it's just it was really time consuming. But anyways, I have it all routed inside the car. So I have like all these sensors here that I have to tuck all the way underneath. I have like all these wires extended coming from the back, as well as all the other wires coming up through here, routing with the fuel rail, and then everything else is plugged in. So all that's good to go. The only things that I do have to extend still is all of the like injector wires, and I think the cam sensor wire, and that's basically about it. I just ran out of wire when I was extending those, but I got everything basically wired in and ready to go. There's just a few, just like I said, there's a few other wires that I have to extend, but other than that, I have like the fan plugged into the switch panel already. I have like the fan plugged in. I have both fuel pumps wired into one, so that way I believe this switch panel turns the power on, and then this is the fuel pump switch, and this is the fan switch, and I believe this is just a switch to turn the turn the switch panel on and off, so that way it's not drawing power constantly and kills the battery. So I'm probably just gonna go ahead and pull the battery out of the black SRT, put it in here, and then just see if everything's working fine. And then I'm gonna go ahead and just basically button up a bunch more stuff, probably get the flex plate on, get ready for when the clutch gets in here. In all honesty, because I'm cutting, so the time frame I'm trying to beat to get this car running and driving is I have to get it done by at least August 28th, which is a Friday, and that's 2 days before IFO in Columbus, Ohio. So I will be trying to get this car there running and driving. I did buy a drag racing ticket just in case. I'm probably not gonna do a full rip, but if I can get the car running like as soon as the clutch gets here, then I'll drive it as much as I possibly can, and just put a decent amount of miles in it, because me and the tuner will be basically tuning it on the street, but not to its full potential. And just because I have such a short time frame, and you know, like money wise right now, I'm just gonna get a basic 6-puck, because I don't plan on pushing, you know, the limits of this built setup for right now until I get a twin disc. So it's not gonna see its full potential, but it'll definitely see a little more than 450, I'll tell you that. So I'm just getting a 6-puck that can hold it perfectly fine, and just so that way I can break everything in right, because I don't want to, you know, rush this and then break it, and then I'm going to be, you know, very upset about that. So that's the plan. I did want to get a twin disc, but just like I said, the time frame is just way too close, and the money quite isn't there yet for the twin disc. So I just got a basic 6-puck. So as soon as that gets in, I will be putting that in the trans, filling the trans up with fluid, you know, doing all that, checking everything over, bleeding everything, and hopefully we'll be good to go from there. There's just a few custom things I have to get made or make myself, like the hood exit and the dump tube and all that, but we're cutting it close. But I'm trying hard to get this car to IFO, and I'll make it happen. So enough talking, let's get back to work and test everything, make sure everything works good, and then move on to what I got to do next. All right, so now that I have the battery out of the black car, I'm gonna go ahead and hook up all these power and ground wires. This is an OEM setup. I don't know if I'm going to actually be running these. I may go ahead and just make some new ones, but just like I said, depending on the time frame, I may have to. I just got to figure out a new ground location, because for these wires, like this has to ground to like the chassis, and then this grounds to the transmission. So I'm gonna have to extend these or make new ones, actually, now that I think about it. And then this goes to the fuse box, and this goes to the starter. So yeah, I'm actually gonna have to make all new ones if I want to run this or get the car running. So I'm gonna have to get those ordered in as ASAP and get those made. But just to see if everything is working with the switch panel and most of the wiring that I made, I'm just gonna go ahead and plumb all this and give her a good old try. So let's get to it. All right, so I have the power wire plugged into the ECU, and then I have the power wire coming from the switch panel, just wired into there, as well as the ground. And then this is just temporary, but I have the grounded to the door. So everything else should be good to go. Now I'm just gonna go ahead, hop in here. Oh, and then I'm gonna turn the key on, see if we have some lights. All right, sweet. Well, we got some lights. That's good. The switch panel. So this should be on and off. This switch right here. So let's try the fan first. All right. Well, I hear it kicked on. So, oh yeah, you can hear this thing for sure. This thing is really pulling out some air. So we got the fans all wired up, and I'm just gonna try the fuel pumps just for a split second, because you never want to dry prime, you know, or prime a fuel pump dry, so you can burn the pumps like that. Let me go ahead and set the camera down here so you can hear it. I'm just gonna prime it for a split second. Here we go. Oh yeah, those things are definitely priming. So I have 2 extra switches. I don't know what I'm going to use these for. If anything, I'm probably going to use them for all the gauges. Just, oh man, my camera, my flashlight died. Anyways, I'm probably going to use one of those switches to power up all the gauges. Just like I said, that'll be in a whole new separate video of me installing all those. I might give you guys a little sneak peek of everything, but yeah, I don't know yet. And yeah, so I got those all wired up. I got the whole harness basically almost complete done. I just got to do a couple more wires, and we should be good from there. And then basically just putting everything back together and, you know, going through everything. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and put the flex plate on and get that torqued down. And then I'm actually gonna see if I have all of the copper washers, and then get the brake lines all bolted down, because if you see here, I have all the lines basically just dangling for now, because since the car isn't running, if someone comes into the shop and I'm not here, and you know, they mess around in the car, press on the brake pedal, stuff like that, it's gonna build up pressure. Then I can't relieve the pressure, just like you know, turning on the car and relieving it. I'd actually have to go through and crack the bleeders in all of them, and I just didn't want any of that to happen. But since it's almost done, I'm gonna go ahead, try to find all those copper washers, and then go ahead and get the lines on, and then maybe figure out something else that I need to do just to get this thing closer and closer. So let's go ahead, get the flex plate on, and then do the rest of the brake lines. All right, so the flex plate that I'm gonna be using is buried just underneath all those extra turbos and taillights. Actually, speaking of these, if anyone wants these, I can sell them to you for dirt cheap. Oh, jeez, God. Anyways, selling these for dirt cheap. Some bulbs are out. If you want to go ahead and, you know, fix these, custom paint them, do whatever. The only bad thing is this lens unfortunately has like a hole in it. These I honestly might just, I don't know what I'm gonna do with these. They're just taking up space. So if someone wants to offer me, like, you know, 10 bucks and just pay some shipping on them, that's perfectly fine with me. I can go ahead and get these shipped out whenever. I also have some OEM taillights. These are actually in really good condition, and a third brake light. So if anyone wants any of those, let me know. These turbos are not for sale, unfortunately. We got these things laying around everywhere. This is actually the one off my old blue car that I melted, but let me not try to have this thing fall on me again. So I'm gonna go ahead and move all this, because I gotta grab this right here. So this is what I need, this flex plate and this little spacer. So I gotta go ahead and find all of the flex plate bolts and go ahead and get some blue Loctite, which I think I have some. Yeah, I do. Boom, right there. So just your typical blue Loctite. You don't want to use red because you're eventually gonna have to pull these out, but just make sure you use some of this and torque them down to spec, just so that way they don't back out and cause, you know, some catastrophic failure. So all right, well, now that I got that, I'm gonna have to go ahead and find all the bolts, which honestly I have no clue where they're at because I didn't plan on using them, but now I have to use them, so I gotta find them. But I'll update you guys when I find those. Also, before I forget, when you put this on, you want to make sure you have this plate. This is like a sandwich plate that goes between the trans and the block. So you just want to make sure you have this. It just takes a 10mm bolt through this little hole that bolts up to the block. So I'm going to go ahead, get you guys set up, and then get both of these installed. So let's get to it. All right, so I got this plate. You just take your little 10mm bolt that comes with it, and you basically just thread it in. If I can even see, it's kind of hard for me to see actually. Come on. And you just want to get this whole thing lined up. There actually should be like a dowel pin, but mine's broke off into the block. I just noticed that. You gotta be kidding me. All right, well, since that's like that, I'm gonna go ahead and toss one of my trans bolts in, so that way this plate doesn't move when I go to tighten down this bolt. But if it's on your own car, you should have a dowel pin here, and that's basically about it. So I'm gonna go ahead, throw this trans bolt in, and get this little 10mm bolted down all the way. So, all right, so I got my little wrench here. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and make sure this is all straight and ready to go. Come on. I have to hold it. All right, that should be good. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and throw the flex plate on. All right, so when you're throwing when you're putting the flex plate on, these bolts, you're gonna have to spin this around until all the holes on the crank line up perfectly with these. So you just want to go through and spin this all the way until they line up, which which I literally just got it first try. So the crappy thing is I found the bolts, but they're on the ground right next to the camera. So I'm gonna have to go ahead and actually, it'll stay. So I'll be good with that. All right, so these are all the bolts right here that I have that go into the crank. It's kind of hard for the camera's kind of tilted. And then you have these little short ones that go into the clutch when you get like a modular clutch. This bolts in through these holes here, these 4 holes, and it bolts the clutch to the flex plate. So if you're confused, one is longer than the other. If I can get my hand in there. If you can see the difference in height with those, the smaller one, this one's for the clutch, and then this one bolts the flex plate to the crank. So make sure you don't get those confused, but you should tell because there's gonna be there's gonna be 8 of these long ones and then 4 of the short ones. So it's kind of hard to get them mixed up. But I'm gonna go ahead and throw some blue Loctite on these. Nothing too crazy, just a little bit, and you just want to spread it all throughout the threads, just a little bit, and then just go ahead and thread them in by hand, and then go ahead with the torque wrench, find the torque specs. Actually, I should be able to find them here in a second, and then just go ahead and torque them down. All right, so now that I went ahead and got all those torqued down, I unfortunately wasn't able to find all the copper washers for the brake lines. So I'm gonna go ahead and get those ordered. And if any of you in Ohio, closer to Cleveland or Columbus, the better. I'm willing to make around a 2-hour drive. If you have a really good condition, like ACT 6-puck, Clutchmaster 6-puck, or any 6-puck in good condition for a fair price, and what I mean by fair is if you have like an ACT 6-puck that has like, 10,000+ miles on it, I'm not giving you $400 or $500 for it. I'm gonna be blunt about that. I'm willing to make the drive somewhere, depending on where it's at, or surrounding states like Michigan, Indiana, PA. Those are all within around 2-3 hours from me, which isn't bad. I only make the drive for the right deal. So if you guys have a really good condition clutch, all my social media info will be in the bio. Just shoot me a message, a PM, or anything like that on Facebook, Instagram, anything. Let me know what you have. I'll gladly come out and pick it up off you, so that way I can get a clutch in this thing as soon as possible so I can get this thing running. So if anything, as always, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.